Good evening, my friends. This is Angie Stewart from Miami Inner Light, directly here in Kardec Radio. And tonight we'll continue our studies, our weekly studies of this beautiful book, Among Brothers of Other Lands, of the Gospel According to Spiritism. And as I always tell you guys, if you can have a bottle of water or a glass of water, especially now in this time of coronavirus that we have to be in our homes, practicing the social distancing, learning new things, because all as we are all together in this thing, it is difficult to practice social distancing. So it's funny when we start reflecting how was our lives before and how our lives now, it's like so different. I was talking to a friend of mine, and he said that his son used to ask him, oh, I would love to be able to spend 2 days in school and 5 days home. So he was referring to Saturday and Sunday. So they are the days you stay home, or they are the days you don't study. And now that his kid cannot go to school and his school doesn't have an online platform, he is full-time home, not studying. He actually told his father that he was missing school. So his father was like, wow. So this is for us to see whenever we can't have certain things, we actually miss it. So it's very tough. It's very tough, but it shall pass, as everything have always come and gone. So the main thing for all of us is really to reflect what can we benefit from it while living in this social distancing. What can we benefit? What are we learning with it? I know another friend of mine, today he was saying, oh, how are you dealing with your husband? How are you dealing with your son? With your mother-in-law, they are all living there with you 24/7. And I said, well, in my case, I am lucky because I'm very happy. I love them, and it's a time for us to bond, really bond, and take care of each other, understanding there is always a risk. Even if we are in the house, there is a risk. We go to the supermarkets to buy things, and we might meet someone that's sick and bring the virus. We don't know. But another thing we have to think is that we cannot live in fear. We cannot live in fear. We have to live with hope in our hearts, with faith, with perseverance, understanding that nothing happens by without a reason. Every single thing that the God gives to us, there is a reason. We don't know the reason, but there is always a reason. So we don't need to live in fear. We need to live with faith, understanding that this came for a reason, and I can see many of the reasons to help us to love ourselves, to love each other, to understand a little bit better our family, to miss our friends. A lot of people miss their family members that they were kind of, and now they can see them and they really miss them. So, it's an opportunity to a lot of things, a lot of things. And I think it's a blessing, even if it's very difficult. A lot of people are scared, a lot of people died, but we can't be thinking of this. We have to think about the positive. As I always say, I am a very positive person, and we have to connect with the positive things in order to be able to vibrate positiveness, in order to elevate our vibrations, our thoughts, our brain waves. Because if you live in fear, oh, I'm afraid of this, I'm afraid of that, this could happen to me, then you're not going to really live well. You are going to be, as we always talk about, energies and syntony, the syntony that happens, you know, the spirits that are in a lower vibration than us, and then the higher spirits. If you keep bringing yourself in fear or anger or any kind of negativity, you're kind of connecting with a lower vibration spirits, and we don't want this, we don't need this. So let's try to go up so we can connect with the ones here, and that's what we need, especially now that we are practicing social distancing. That's what we really need. So we need to be all together in this vibration of love, hope, and understanding there are thousands and thousands of people recovering from the virus. So we have to break this thought that, oh, he got a virus, he's going to die, because it's not true. And if you are a spiritist, you also know, if you did not expose yourself to this and you got the virus, it's because it was meant to be. We all have a time to come and to go, and we had our little mission that was accomplished that. And more than anyone, we are the ones who believe in life after death. So we know if something happens, we will be living in the other side, and we will know there is a purpose, a bigger purpose. Why did I have to live like this? There is always a purpose. So long story short, I already used 8 minutes talking about it. I hope you have your water to be blessed by the enlightened spirits, and I invite you now to do a short prayer for us to start. And at 10 p.m. I do a prayer with a lot of people, I pray. Some people do vibrations, others they do moments of silence, but I invite all of you to do a final prayer of our study, and also a prayer for the whole planet going through this difficult time. Okay? God, our Mother and Father, Jesus, our big brother, we are here this moment asking for your protection, your guidance, your inspiration for our studies of tonight. So please stay with us. Send the good spirits here so we can all benefit from the good inspirations they will be giving to me and to all our friends who are live participating of it. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good, my friends. So let's start. And I see friends here. Very good. Hello. Hello, hello. Sol Souza, Carla Marques. Hello, my dear. Carolina Correia. Matthew Mills. Hello, Matthew. Teresa Castro. Hércules. Hello, Hércules. Nice to have you here. Teresa said, I like your blouse. Yes, look, my friends always say that's my Brazilian style. I didn't even buy because of the colors of Brazil, but I bought because of the colors. I love bright colors. It's like my personality. Very shy. Okay, guys, let's go. If you're new here, I always read the full chapter. This chapter is not big. It's 2 pages only. And you can start writing comments or questions, and when I finish, we can do a little bit of interaction, okay? So it's chapter 21, and the title is Why? And the author is Hilario Silva. I'm not sure if you guys know who Hilario Silva is, but he is one of the spirits that was actually a partner of André Luiz in one of his books. André Luiz wrote a whole collection that the first book is Nosso Lar, and the last book is The Life Goes On. And during these books, he met Hilario Silva. And Hilario Silva was specialized in working in the lower zones where those spirits, the very hard spirits, were there. And he was there helping them to understand why they were there and helping them to ask for help, but fully ask from the heart, not just say, help me, but really understanding they wanted to change. And that's when they were helped. So Hilario Silva has a lot of experience with this type of help. That's very important for us. We never know when we are going to end up in a kind of a lower zones, even if for a few time. So let's go. While the bus traveled from New York to Miami, Adolph Hunt, owner of extensive orange orchards in Florida, said to his companion of seat, "Fred, imagine that the people have been talking about supposed messages from my father's spirit, saying about virtue and regeneration, improvement in his business of time. Nowadays, any boy knows what evolution is. Well, if no one can deceive the gradual work of progress, what is this equipped machine of spirits and mediums, phenomena and messages from spiritism intend to propel in the world, in the name of God, and the imaginary divine messengers? Can you tell me what God has to do with it? Or even, what do the so-called spiritual friends have to do with us?" The interlocutor, encouraged by the attention of the listeners, laughed ironically and continued and concluded, "I also believe that way. Evolution. Mediumship is a baloney. Neither God nor the spirits will interfere in the laws of life." The conversation extended in this tone when Adolph, arriving at his destination, he got to know through his friend that his greatest ranch had been devastated by a violent hurricane. Immediately, he took the car and drove to the indicated ranch. Oh, desolation! Hundreds of fruitful trees, mostly the good orange trees, were mutilated or distorted, demanding immediate care. He was terribly surprised. He, above all, loved that great orchard. He called upon the absent sons and the employees of his organization to repairing work. During 4 long days, in which he himself did not rest, the enormous land received help and restoration. On the 5th night, after the disaster, when he finally got to rest, he dreamed of his father telling him with benevolent smile, "My son, if you, my grandchildren, and our collaborators in service, imperfect as you are, engaged in such a care for the salvation of the orange orchard, why do you deny God, our Father of infinite love, and the good spirits, our greater brothers, the right to get interested in the improvement of humankind?" Adolph Hunt return to the physical body and continue to hear his Father's voice into his soul. Why? Why, my son? Wow, very powerful. So it was written in New York, USA, in August 2, 1965. Beautiful message. Beautiful and powerful message to a father of a man who did not believe in God. So maybe with a message from his own father, he will start questioning things, because many times, even when someone sees a spirit materialized in front of him telling this, they still don't believe. It's almost like if you are not prepared for that, you are going to see, but you are not going to be able to accept it. So the question of the title is why? So what do you think? What do you guys think? You guys have to participate more. You know, I'm going to start using the template of a Be Live or another one that I can pick one of you guys and make you answer. Isn't that exciting? I can just go through and like, hey. But why? I also have to say, if the ones that are always with us in the studies, they know that I always say, why not? Why not? You think, oh, wow, it's so sad, but I don't understand why that person, let's suppose, why that person got the virus. We don't know. We have no idea. But why not me? Why I didn't get the virus yet? We don't know. So we have to always question things, but always to understand that whenever it happens, it's because it had to happen. As I mentioned before, if you are not exposing yourself, I'm talking specifically about the virus because that's what we are living at this moment. But it could be in any situation, like why certain people die and others don't. So are you exposing yourself to certain things, or you're actually trying to protect yourself and protect the others that you love? So we have always to question it. This is one of the whys. There are so many whys, but this is the one that I like always to think about. Why me and why not me? And he talks about this Adolf Hunt. That's a coincidence that he came from New York to Miami. And the ones that know me, I came from New York to Miami, not by a bus, but by car driving. We had to drive our plants. So we came driving, long drive, boring drive. I thought it was going to be so sightseeing and beautiful. Not really, but you know, we made it. We made it. The 95 forever. And then he continues. So through the text, we can see that he did not believe. We could see first that some people who were spiritists were telling him that his father was sending messages. So this is the first thing that he talks about to a friend who probably did not believe in the spiritist messages, for example, in mediumship. And then he talk about, oh yes, you know, people keep saying that my father is talking about virtue and regeneration and improvement is a business of a time. And then he continues talking that nowadays everybody knows about evolution. So when he talks about evolution, it's very much connected to science. And we also know that a lot of scientific minds, they kind of against any type of religion or even against the figure of God. the figure of something superior, the figure of something they cannot understand. We actually spoke about this in the last talk when we were talking. Let me see what was the title of last week. The title was Work Always. We were talking about it in the gospel, because the gospel was talking about pride. So the scientists, a lot of the scientists, please, we can never generalize anything, because there is always exceptions, and I'm super happy, and one day will be much more. An exception will be the scientists that do not believe or choose not to believe in God. But a lot of the scientific minds nowadays, they choose not to believe in God. And we understand that many times it is because of pride. They are very proud of themselves. They are very proud of the work they have done, the research, the discoveries, the evolution that they are able to prove and understand. And they choose to not accept the figure of God. They choose to think there is nothing superior to them or to anything they discovered. And this is, it's the least I can say, it's silly, because yes, you can start proving everything, going back and forth and discovering, but even the biggest scientists, they actually said they reached to a point, when they reach to a point that from that point they don't understand how it was possible, and they can't understand, they don't have the answers for that. And some brave scientists, they say, in this point it has to be God, because we can't answer it. But lots of others say we don't know why, but God doesn't exist. So many of these things will be really time for those people to be able to reincarnate, be able to see their mistakes, to understand, to spend some time in the spiritual realm, going through many of his issues, studying harder to be able to come back and prove they finally learned. Then he continued here that they were laughing about it. Guys, if you want to say anything, please, this is not a 101, you know, could be one and many. So, hello, Nora. Very nice to have you here. Claudia Garces. Hi, Claudia. Welcome. So, in the next page, his friend is talking. We are either with God or evolution. So he makes this division in his mind. He makes this division: God, like religious people, or evolution, the scientific minds. So we understand nowadays that it's not like that, doesn't need to be like that. And we know that in the future, the pure spirits that we will be one day, don't even have no idea how many millions of incarnations I will need to have to be able to be a pure spirit. But we continue. Let's go. We don't stop. But we know that one day we will have very high morality and very high intelligence. So these two in a very high level will make us pure spirits. So for now, we have a little bit of intelligence, a little bit of morality, and the spirits always tell us that's much more difficult to develop morality. Yes, isn't that funny? You think intelligence is so much more difficult, but no, intelligence is easier. But to make an intelligent person to become a moral person, that's the difficult point. So that's why we go like this. We go like this, going little by little, but one day we will be there. And one thing that we have to reflect too is that because of our past as a planet, there were many wars that were religious wars. So we know that the religious wars actually killed more people than any other type of wars. So this is very sad. It brings a lot of hatred to people. You know, there are many movies that depict the wars of the Huguenots and the war between Huguenots, like the Protestants, and the Christians. They killed each other. They were forbidden to marry. They hated each other. And imagine they reincarnate. If they continue with this hatred, they will come back to continue doing that. And sometimes they switch sides. They go to the other side. But if the hatred continue, then they will be killing each other again. So that's why there are many spirits that they continue in this bad process of a snowball, never understanding to forgive, never understanding to not repeat the same mistake. And many times they come back and they decide they don't want to be religious. They are absolutely against religion. And at least nowadays we are not killing each other, most of us, because unfortunately we know there are some countries that are still doing it, and we know there are some sectors that still keep this hatred through them. And it doesn't need to be religious. Unfortunately, there are lots of things in society that they are like the pockets of hatred, that the most of us, sometimes we don't see it, but they exist. And that's why we have to be aware. We have to be awake about it. And we have to protect those people, to talk about and to talk against it. So in this time of the virus that gave us the reclusion, there are things for us to really think and reflect and change. Unfortunately, there is always those people that are very stricted minded that start associating certain things and start hating it. I remember during 9/11, I was working in Manhattan, and I was the only person in my family that worked in Manhattan. So my whole husband family, they all live in New York. Well, most of them. And they all live and work in Brooklyn. So they're very focused on Brooklyn. And I was the only one that was living in Manhattan in that time. So when that happened, I was totally isolated. And then through the weeks, they were very heavy weeks, very difficult for us to be able to go back to our normal life. It was very stressful. And I was in the subway one day, and there was a man with a turban. He was using a turban, but he was not Arabic. There is a religion, I don't remember what's the name now, Sikhi, don't remember the name of the religion, but they use turbans, but they are not Arabics. Anyway, it doesn't matter if it's Arabic or not. He was with somebody else, and suddenly a man came, approached him. The subway was not super crowded because a lot of people stopped taking the subway right after the 9/11. And this man came to him and started pointing finger to him, telling him, you are the ones responsible for all this massacre. You kill all those people. Your people killed them. And we were there shocked. I remember being really shocked. I had just moved to the United States. Brazil has lots of problems, lots of violence, but we don't really have any type of terrorist attacks. So I was really like weary, anything was very strange. And when this happened, I was like, oh my God. So immediately I start praying for the man who was saying that to stop, because that man that was being accused of killing everybody just because he was using a turban, he was feeling awful. He was really like, he was like shrinking. He didn't know what to do. And before I said something, because the man who was fighting with him, he looked like this kind of people that look like very violent, crazy, angry. And then one person, another guy, stand up and told him, stop, stop, you don't know him. And he didn't do anything. And it's not every person from his religion that's a killer. And then the guy started fighting with this and started fighting with another people. But then the good thing is that the goodness prevail. More and more and more people start standing up and besiding the man who was being accused. So this man, the violent man, accuser, he had actually to get out of the subway. He got out of the subway screaming, saying all kinds of bad words. And we were all like, we were all relieved of that. And bringing to nowadays, the same type of thing is happening now with Chinese. And what is crazy, because the Chinese people, they are great people. They have very different habits. Yes, they eat weird animals, but you know, they didn't create something to spread to the world like some of the theories say. And even if something was created in the labs to be done, these were not the Chinese people. These were the government who created, the Chinese government. So we can never generalize anything. It's very painful when we see nowadays people say, oh, I used to love Chinese food, but I'm not going to eat anymore because, you know, they are all crazy. They all this, they're virus. It's not true. We really have to try to keep our cool, to reflect about our actions, to reflect about what we are telling people, what we are thinking, because we don't want to create something even more negative. We have to create something positive. I absolutely love Chinese food. I have a great friend that I even call my sister, who is Chinese, who lives in Brooklyn, Bay Ridge. Unfortunately, she's not here today. But please never generalize anything. We have to really think and pray. Anytime we start connecting with something very negative that we might have thought, but we didn't think much, and then we start thinking over and over and over, stop. Stop, pull yourself out of it, reflect, do a quick prayer. Please, God, my guardian angel, inspire me, guide me, help me to see if what I'm feeling is good or not. If it's not, please help me to change my vibration, to change my mind, because that's what we really have to do right now. There are thousands, millions of people doing crazy things, very negative, connecting with horrible TVs. Let's be different. Let's connect with good things. And that's what we have to live. That's how we have to live. And then he continues here. When he finally arrives in his destination in Miami, he discovers the hurricane. And the hurricane is another thing that everybody, oh my God, hurricane, devastation, death is a disgrace. And a lot of people also, when there are tragedies, a lot of people, they start getting, like, it's not that they fully understand God's love or they fully believe in God. They kind of think, maybe, I'm not sure, but whenever something negative happens, that's when they started with, why God? Why did God allow this to happen? Why did God send a hurricane to devastate the orange orchard, for example? As I said, we don't know. But we know also in the Spirit's book, if you take the Spirit's book and you search, you are going to find a lot of information there that talk about the tragedies. So the spirits, they tell us that what is a tragedy for us in our physical eyes, a tragedy is just a moment of transformation, a big transformation. And this is a tragedy for us because we can see the big picture. We only see a little thing. We only see a little portion. It's almost like when you take a huge elephant and you put a person seeing just one little piece, and you tell the person, describe me what you see. And then the person see, oh, I see a huge ear. That's the only thing I'm seeing. There's some kind of thing that the person probably is going to say, I don't even know what it is, but it's moving and it's very big. And then somebody else say, oh, I see a tail. There is a tail. Oh, this animal must be small. And then they ask to them both describe, and whatever they describe, no, that's not the same animal. It's totally different. No, it's not. It's the perspective that we are having. We are seeing only one portion of the 100%. And that's how we are in the perspective of God. So any of those tragedies, they are transformations that were necessary. And as I said, many times we don't know the reason. Sometimes we are allowed to discover the reason through mediumships of a very, very good mediums. Sometimes they bring us glimpses of what, why. For example, the tsunami that happened a few years ago and devastated so many souls. So why did they perish altogether? And then through mediumship of Divaldo Franco, we discovered few things, but they were related to problems that were happening in that area, that the spirits were always reincarnating in that area, and they were not able to overcome their difficulties, their issues, especially related to sex. So reached to a point that they had to discarnate in a difficult situation to be able to clean the vibratory energy of that whole place and to start again later on. But that's what we understand through the big picture. Like imagine God, imagine a father and a little child. So the little child wants a chocolate. But the father is going to say, no, you cannot have it because you're going to have dinner. So it's a terrible thing. The child cries like crazy because cannot have the chocolate. But the father understands if this kid has a chocolate, is not going to have dinner. So everything has the time to happen, has the perfect time to happen. And we as children, we take a long time to be able to understand and see it, and especially to understand and fulfill it, accepting it. That's why we take a very, very big time. So we continue with the story here. When he reached to the orchard, he called his sons and he called his employees, and he organized groups of people to work. They work super, super, super strong for 4 full days in order to be able to help the orchard, to help the trees. They were all broken. The whole orchard was devastated. And the 5th day, he was able to finally rest. So you imagine his physical body was exhausted. So he rested. And then he went to sleep. And then we also understand that when our physical body is exhausted, the soul disconnects faster because the body just like... So the spirit disconnected from the physical body, and then his father, who was in the spiritual body, was able to meet with him and was able to talk to him. But the good thing really is that he was able to wake up and remember the dream, because we all dream every single night. Isn't that amazing? You're going to say, no, I don't. Yes, we all do. We all do. What happened is that most of us don't remember the dream, or most of us remember a little bit of the dream, or some people, they, as soon as they open their eyes, they remember, oh, I just dreamed with my grandmother. I don't really remember what we were doing. Oh, we did this and this and this. But if they don't really review the dream, like 5-10 minutes later, they totally forgot. But we dream every single day. And sometimes these dreams are with our loved ones, or are with our guardian angel telling us to do certain things. So it's really beautiful when we are able to wake up and have that message imprinted in our memory. And in this case, he probably was allowed to keep that memory, or his guardian angel probably put some kind of vibratory energy in his mind to really connect him with what his father said, to make him to wake up to the situation. So basically what his father was telling him was like, my son, you, my grandchildren, and all our collaborators worked so hard to help the orchard that was all broken up. Why can't you believe that God and the good spirits, they are constantly working to help us? They are constantly trying to guide us. Why is it so difficult for you to understand it? So that's what he woke up with, that memory. So it will be very good for him to reflect about the message. As I said right in the beginning, he might still not believe that was his father, because he probably is going to think, oh, I dreamed with my father. Lots of people dream with loved ones who passed away, but they do not necessarily believe is the spirit of the loved one. They think, oh yeah, you know, I dreamed with my father or my mother or whatever, but they don't connect like the spirit actually came and talked to your spirit and you remember. But it doesn't matter. What is important is that he woke up with that thought, and because he's intelligent and because he's connected to science, so he will at least start thinking about what his father told him. So if he took care of a piece of land and he worked so hard to make it a little bit back to the shape, why God can't help of us? So this is it's a very important point. So the last, let me just what he said here. So my son, if you, my grandchildren, and our collaborators in service, imperfect as you are, engaged in such a care for the salvation of the orange orchard, why do you deny God, our Father of infinite love, and the good spirits, our great brothers, the right to get interested in the improvement of humankind? So this is it's a beautiful closing for us to reflect deeply about it, and a beautiful story. So Hilario Silva has lots of little stories. He's famous for short stories, and they make people to reflect a lot about his short pieces of a story. That's really, really beautiful. You guys were very quiet. Nobody mentioned anything, so it was a monologue. I'm becoming an actress here. But it was beautiful. Let me just see who arrived here. Was Lee, Charlie, Mickey. Hello, Lee. Daniela Stefanelli and Cecilia Castillo. Hello, Cecilia, my neighbor. How are you? Are you practicing the social distancing? Oh my God, I miss going out and meeting my great neighbors in the game night that I used to organize twice a month. Ah, I miss it. Soon, soon, soon. We will be able to do it again, but we'll be in a much more deep way. We will have lots of important things to talk when we finally are able to go out normally to our friend's house to meet friends. We'll be like such a wonderful feeling. If it was already good, now it's going to be like a paradise to go to the neighbor's house and have like a sandwich together. It's like, oh, we conquered. So my friends, let's go to the Gospel According to Spiritism, chapter 7. So we were reading Blessed are the poor in spirit. So we read last week the number 1, 2, 3, 2. And today I'm reading the number 3. So I will read the text and comment and please, we are hearing. I thought you were not hearing me. I'm like, oh gosh. So the title is Whoever Exalts Himself Shall Be Humbled. So just a little thing. And Jesus says, who is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? And then he says, become like children. So and then, let me just read this. Become like children. You will not enter the kingdom. If you don't become like children, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. Becomes like children that are small and simple. So in this portion here, he also talks about. So let's go in peace. So become like children. Let's talk about little children. Little, because sometimes we know. More or less little children, they are already very wise, and the spirits nowadays, we know these indigo children, they are everywhere, and they are much, much more intelligent than us, so we have to be careful. In the past, people used to say, children never lie. It depends, because when children start getting very close to their parents, they observe, and children learn to observation and through examples. That's how children learn. They learn through examples. That's why the parents, the uncles, aunts, grandparents, whoever takes care of these children, they have to really be careful with what they are doing, because the moment they mistreat something, children will be there looking and copying. So, but the little ones, they're still very innocent ones. We understand the children are eternal spirits that are reincarnating forever, and they are in a brand new body, very young, simple, pure, but it's an old spirit, full of positive things, but also negative mistakes that they return to learn. So the little children, very little, when you ask them something, they will tell you. They will tell you, because they don't have any type of things that will stop them. Oh, let me see, let me think if this is politically correct. Let me think if my mother's gonna like it. Let me think. No, they just tell you, and they are pure to whatever they tell you. So that's how Jesus was telling that. That's how we had to be able to go in the spiritual realm. And then he gives the example of a wedding event, a wedding, how the wedding feast. He gives the example of when you go to a wedding feast and you go and you sit in the best place of the wedding feast. So you sit there, it's like, ooh, it's very close, or whoever knows the location. But then the person who invites you arrives, and there is somebody more important that needs to be seated. And then he sits you there and say, hey, Angela, hi, Angela, you, Angela, yes, you. Sorry, honey, can you give your seat to my mother? Because, she needs to be sat here. And then Angela, Not humble Angela, like, yeah, sure. Very embarrassed, stand up and goes to sit somewhere, anywhere. So that's what Jesus is telling. This is not being humble. It's being really like, I'm very important. But then you feel bad when these things happens. And then he also gives the example. It's much better that you humble yourself, talking still about the wedding feast, and you sit far away, you sit somewhere, and then the person who invited you sees you and say, oh, Angela, honey, come here. I want you to be here, close to my honor. So this makes the person to feel much better. You are brought up. It's not that you were up and you were, but yeah, many times we do exactly the contrary. Many times we do the contrary, and we have to learn. We have to learn with it. So we have to learn a lot how to humble ourselves in many, many, many aspects. One of the aspects that I remember seeing a lot in Brazil, and of course, I'm not in Brazil for over 20 years. It probably changed, and hopeful I'm hopeful it changed. But I remember I was in Búzios. It's a beautiful beach city in Rio de Janeiro, and I was in a small little food market. And in that time, more than 20 years ago, there was no scanning machine passing through groceries. No, there was like some kind of thing written, and there were lots of numbers, so the cashier had to actually type every single number. And there were sometimes the numbers didn't work. And I remember this time I was online, and there was a person in front of me, and she got angry because the lady was slow or the numbers didn't click. I don't remember. And she starts saying, do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? And then you look at her, you saw she was like super elegant, like high heels in a supermarket, and you know, the type of person. But that type of person that likes to show off, you know, like impose themselves on others, especially when the person is humble or the person is less than what they think they are. So this caused a lot of commotion in the supermarket because she started making a big scene, and the girls start getting like very, very shaky. And it was horrible, And then somebody else just told her, hey lady, I don't know who you are. I don't care who you are. If you're not happy, just leave it there and go. And I remember being like, wow. But she actually did, because other people started agreeing with this a little bit more exalted guy, and she felt embarrassed, and she left all her groceries and she left. But it's horrible to start mistreating somebody else. Doesn't matter what is the thing. The girl never even said anything. She was just saying, I'm so sorry, this is not working, I'm trying to fix it. But people don't have patience. People always think they are the right person. And nowadays with social media, this is happening everywhere. It's like you are facing a battle every single day of your lives. If you post your opinion about certain things in Facebook, Instagram, whatever, next door, there will come people that will fight you. And some people in purpose, they like to be very harsh. They like to put themselves there like, oh, I'm more powerful than you. Oh. And it's horrible because it starts like a war. You are always under attack, always under attack. Another thing that I saw also is like celebrities. You know, celebrities, they live of their image, and any celebrity will be people that love them and people that hate them and people who can care less about them. But there are people that love to follow them and and sometimes follow them just to criticize. And then I remember watching an interview with Xuxa and another actress from Brazil that's very controversial actress that is, she fights with everyone. And Xuxa, it's a famous actress, and how can I say, she's a TV entertainer. And she was saying, oh, I have a lot of haters. Haters are the internet people that love to write very horrible comments on internet. And she always say, I feel always bad because people love to talk about my hair, about my clothes, about my jewelry, about whatever. And then I don't answer them. I feel bad, but I keep that the energy, and I'm always trying to improve, but there is always someone that hates. And then she she showed the crazy other actress. What would you answer to this one here who talked about my hair? So the style of the other one is attacking too. So, you know, it's very different. You don't want to attack everybody that's attacking you, because the only thing you're doing is the exactly same thing. You know, they attack you, you attack back. Are you improving? No, you are not improving. So it's very difficult when you are a celebrity that you are always exposed, and many times they need to expose themselves to. We have 2 minutes to do our prayers. I have to pay attention here so I don't forget. So it's difficult for them because they have to expose themselves in order to continue famous or to promote whatever they are doing. But this social media situation of nowadays is very common. People hate, people enjoy hating others. So we have to be careful to not expose ourselves to haters. That's why it's hard when people like to expose their opinions. Everybody has the right to expose their opinions, but you also have to face the consequences. And when I talk about politics, I'm talking about politics that nowadays is very tough in Brazil especially, and here also, you know, Republicans and Democrats. So it's very hard time with this beautiful modernity of internet and lives and everything, but it also people feel empowered that they can freely hate everyone, throw themselves against people without even knowing them. So let's be careful with it, and let's not do it, because we are not like them. We are not like that. So let's really try to show good things, positive things. If possible, let's try to avoid the politics, because unfortunately, I have seen many friendships being destroyed because of politics, and it's very difficult. We sometimes have a point of view absolutely different. I have a point of view absolutely different of one of my best friends in Brazil. So we both, I told him, let's not talk about this because we are opposites here. So let's talk about what we are connected, not about what we diverge. And that's how we can bring our friendship back. So there is so much more to talk about humbleness and the teaching of Jesus that I will continue next week. But at this moment, it's 10 o'clock. I invite all of you to connect with me when we do this prayer for ourselves, our family, friends, but also for the whole beautiful blue planet that's going through such a hard time. Okay, so 1 minute only. Almighty God, Jesus, our brother, the governor of our beautiful planet, we are here together, so many people at this moment, praying, vibrating, taking a moment of silence to meditate about what's going on, how we can improve through these difficult times, how we can keep our family together? How can we practice the correct social distancing? Understanding that everything happens for a reason, and whenever this ends, we will be stronger, we will be better. And Master, we ask for your help, your guidance, your protection. We ask for good health, patience, love. So many people in this beautiful planet that are going through a very, very difficult time. People that are very sick. They are trying to recover not just from the virus, but from many other diseases too. We ask for all the doctors, for the nurses, for all the people that work in the medical field that are working so much, and it's so exhausting. Please, Master, send all the good angels to help them, to give them an extra boost of energy, to help them to feel stronger and to be protected, to be out there working to help all of us. And Master, at this moment, we want to visualize this beautiful blue light surrounding not just our physical bodies, but our homes, our neighborhoods, our cities, states, country, and in the end, the beautiful planet. All this planet being surrounded in love, connected with all the souls that at this moment are praying together. Please, Master Jesus, give us this strength to continue united in love, patience, harmony, and most of all, hope for better days. Thank you so much. So be it. Very good, my friends. So if you don't know, I pray every day at 10 p.m. and I invited lots and lots of people that I know. We are doing this chain of love that at this time our planet needs a lot. We all need to have like a little bit of a boost of energy because it's very hard. It's very hard to all of us. And we have to keep the faith and the hope that soon it will pass. Soon it will pass. We don't know when, but to keep these good vibrations in our heart. So whenever it passes, we are going to be like, we are going to buy fireworks to celebrate and start kissing everybody on the streets and hugging. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. I'm looking forward when this will be possible again. So my friends, thank you so much for you all being here. I'm very happy we are doing this now on a weekly basis, so it keeps us even more connected, because at this time that we really need to be connected, and nothing better than to be connected in positiveness and with our beautiful studies. So I see you again next week. Virtual kisses and hugs to all of you until we can actually kiss and hug again. Okay? See you Thursday. Bye-bye.